We even got a statement after the game because Colts defender Xavien Howard, remember, was a teammate of Tua in week 1. And he tweeted, there was a tweet about what he said afterwards where he said Tua was in, quote, panic mode. His tweet, we knew he gets the ball out pretty quick. And once we take away his first read, I feel like it's panic after that. And it showed yesterday. That's a former teammate
Eek.
giving you the book on their quarterback and telling you what's wrong with the Dolphins, Caroline. Like, it just, right now, it feels like the Dolphins are broken.
It really does. It feels like they are such a far cry from being able to figure out whatever is ailing them. You could look at some teams in week 1 that didn't have great performances. I think the Lions are probably a good example of that. And you could say, well, if you clean up a couple of things and after, a few more reps getting acclimated with your new coordinators, the Lions could figure things out and potentially be a playoff contender. I don't feel that sense of optimism. I don't feel that sense of just clean a couple of things up and then you'll be fine with about the Dolphins. And I think it's a fundamental thing. It's a foundational thing within this locker room. Like, how much drama have we heard about throughout the offseason? And then Tyreek Hill was very clearly upset on the sidelines. We just talked with Raheem Mostert, who was wonderful, and we asked him about culture. And look, culture is a word that might people might roll their eyes like, oh, culture, here we go again. But it is an incredibly important foundation, I think, of winning football teams. That if you don't have good culture, you're not going to win very much. And it doesn't feel like this Miami Dolphins team has a very good culture at the moment.
And I don't know that that's easily fixable with keeping everything the same. Like, part of this
Mhm.
is we want to make it all about Tua. And, how much blame does Tua get and how much blame does Mike McDaniel get? And that's a really fine line for me because if the book on Tua is, man, take away his first read and he panics, well, number one, have they tried to coach that out of him? Obviously they have. If you can't coach that out of him, how do you save him? And if you can't save him, why is he still your quarterback? Like, these are all the questions that sort of stack on top of each other. And I don't know why we expect, if the math test is the same and every week you're getting the question wrong, at some point it's got to be the person that's trying to answer the question. That's Mike McDaniel. I understand that Mike McDaniel sort of became a sensation out of the gates. The 70-0 win over the Broncos
Mhm.
changed a lot of our perception on him. Plus, he's a quirky dude that makes for funny sound bites. That works when you're winning. But when we see this version of Tua, and, we can be honest at the microphone all day and say, well, the fans didn't pay for that. Okay. Well, what are you doing to change it? And what I think we saw in week 1 is that the league has the book on the Dolphins and they figured them out. And if they figured
Mhm.
them out, if they figured Tua out, if they figured this offense out, if they figured Mike out, well, then it's the Dolphins' job to figure out how to adapt to what the league has adapted to. Have we seen any of that from Miami? I don't think so. So I'm
Yeah.
just looking at all of this and saying, how do you change the culture? How do you fix what's broken? How do you change the fact that you've been scouted if you have the same people doing the same work every single day?
Yeah, I mean, culture is really easy when you're winning, right? Because that becomes your
Mm.
culture. Winning is your culture. Culture matters when you're losing, especially when you lose in such a demoralizing way, like the Dolphins lost on Sunday. It's the same thing with Mike McDaniel and kind of his goofy, quirky shtick. It's really funny and it goes viral on social media when you drop 70 on the Denver Broncos. It gets really old and really annoying when you put up 8 points against the Indianapolis Colts and McDaniel Jones look like an all pro. So, to your point about the blame, because I think in football, blame is an important thing because in order to figure out how you diagnose a problem, you have to figure out the root of the problem. And I always think with a team that falls short of expectations or a losing team, there's a blame pie. Normally, it doesn't just fall on one person, but the coach and the quarterback in football, at every single level, college, NFL, whatever it might be, coach and the quarterback will always get the most praise, usually rightfully so, and usually, rightfully so, they get the most blame. It's not always just coach and quarterback. Usually, it's not just coach and quarterback. But coach and quarterback will get the most praise and will get the most blame. Yes, Mike McDaniel is to blame for a lot of the Dolphins' issues. Culture, that's created by a coach. That's a trickle down effect from the very top to the, third string practice squad. But Tua is now entering his 6th year in the National Football League. Like, he's a veteran in this league. He was drafted in the first round to be the Dolphins guy for the foreseeable future. Tua is not innocent in this because it wasn't Mike McDaniel that turned the ball over 3 times against the Indianapolis Colts. It wasn't Mike McDaniel who, wasn't, struggled to complete a pass on Sunday. That was Tua. And yes, it's the coach's job to get the most out of their quarterback, but it's also Tua's job to elevate everyone else around him. He doesn't have to do it every game. He doesn't have to do it every snap. But when was the last time that you felt like, hey, you know what? Tua really went out there and won that game for his team? Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe it's an oversight. Feel free to correct me, anybody in the comments. But I don't remember the last time that I thought, damn, Tua really stepped up to the occasion.
Mike Vrabel said last week after the Patriots lost that 35% of the time coaches put players in the right position. 65% of the time players make excellent plays. And his point was the Patriots did neither in that game. I would argue that the Dolphins have been doing neither for a long time. I don't think Mike McDaniel's doing his share. I don't think Tua's doing his. Quickly, then, we have the Dolphins taking on the Patriots this weekend. So who has more pressure in this game? Because to me, it is the Dolphins. I will stand squarely on, while there are some expectations for the Patriots, there's no hot seat. In Miami, if they go out and get thumped by this Patriots team, every week Miami gets their ass kicked, all of a sudden this fire gets just hotter and hotter and hotter, and we wonder if Mike McDaniel even makes it through the season. So I think for the rest of the season, every week, the panic meter is much higher for the Dolphins. But who do you have?
Yeah, it does feel like the Dolphins fans are right now just miserable, and the misery only gets worse if you lose to the Patriots. But I think this game is more important for the Patriots because maybe I'm completely off here, but I kind of feel like everybody has made up their mind about what Miami is and who Miami is and what Miami needs to do. I think everyone has made up their mind that Mike McDaniel probably is not going to be in Miami much longer. I think everyone has kind of made up their mind that the Dolphins are more so looking to their next solution at quarterback versus holding out hope that Tua can, become that version of the 2023 version of himself. I think that Miami is already kind of pretty far gone. In New England, though, there's hope. There's optimism. You have a new head coach. You have a young quarterback. You have all the optimism in the world for the Patriots being able to figure things out and dig themselves out of the sea of suck. But if you lose to a dejected Miami team, well, then that optimism starts to kind of wither away. That light starts to flicker.